Nice to talk to you. Thanks for accepting the interview.
Oh, pleasure. My pleasure.
Whereabouts are you now?
I'm just in Melbourne for one last night before I jumped the puddle over to Tasmania.
Oh, yeah, cool. So how long's the tour been going for?
Realistically, it started around, I'd say like just the last week of March.
Yeah, okay.
And so it's been going for a bit, and there's still a ways to go. So I've got the two shows in Tassie, and I've got Adelaide, Perth, and then Northern Territory, Darwin, and then Northern Queensland. So there's a bit to go still.
Yeah, cool. So this is the 8th studio album for the Tea Party after a 6-year break. What made the band get back together?
Um, in a nutshell, we missed the music, so much. I mean, what seems like when our 7-year, what we call now, our hiatus, because we don't call it breaking up, now that we're all in love with each other again. What seemed irreconcilable differences, like starting at the beginning of the 7 years, by the end of it seemed quite petty, versus the magnitude of the music that we had made or what we were capable of making still. And we just we overcame, those small little differences, and got back together for the betterments of it all, and very proud of the accomplishment. I mean, the ocean at the end. It's a big call to say, but it was probably as well received, both critically and commercially, as any of our biggest records. So it was great.
Beautiful. It's a good thing to do. So the album's titled "The Ocean at the End." What inspired the title? What does it mean? Does it have a theme?
Well, the ocean at the end. It's kind of like. It's basically the Erebus, like the snake that eats itself, like eats its own tail. It's kind of like what we thought was the end to the Tea Party was really only the beginning, because once you come to the end of the coast, or like let's say like the end of the world, shall we say, and the ocean is in front of you. Well, there's the new place to explore. Set sail once again and get out there and see what happens. And so that's sort of, the etymology of that phrase.
Beautiful. I love it. There's a track on the album called The Maker. What's it about? It sounds kind of like a bit of a spiritual journey there.
Well, definitely, yeah. Well, that's a song that was written by a gentleman named Daniel Lanois, who's a very famous producer. He produced U2 and Peter Gabriel and things like that. But he's also Canadian. And he became a good friend. He's a very big inspiration to me musically, not only as a songwriter, but also as a producer. And Daniel's, this song in particular always resonated with me because, although I'm not spiritual in the conventional means, I am always searching. And, and that's really what life is about, if you're predilected to that. And, well, yeah, it's more or less about finding your true will, and there's always going to be questions and concerns, but at the end of the day, you just have to look deep within yourself.
That's right, you do. I've noticed I've been following your music since the beginning, really, and the early albums were very light, and over time they got a little darker, and. They did, as you know. There's always been many references to heaven and hell and all that kind of thing. What's that about? Is that you, kind of talking about your spirituality, your journeys through your music, through your art?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm a student of occult philosophy, and so. I respect both sides of the coin, both sides of the psyche. The darkness that exists within us all, and also the light. And it's about finding that balance between the two.
The middle way.
And so, exactly the middle way. Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Cool. Jeff, how old were you when you wrote your first song?
Oh, Lord, I'm probably 8 or 9 years old.
Oh, cool. What was it about?
I can't remember now. It was probably about a girl. So, but yeah, I've just been, Jeff and I, the drummer in the Tea Party, I mean, we had our first band together when I was 10 and he was 11. I've known him since I was 5 years old.
That's cool.
He was 6. So we've been in bands ever since then. And like when we started our first band, we actually started writing music back then as well. I mean, it was pretty juvenile stuff, and I was very, very influenced by like early Beatles and things like that. But, but we were, because of where we grew up in Windsor, Ontario, which is basically, for all intents and purposes, a suburb of Detroit, geographically speaking, we were very much influenced by, classic American rock radio, which would have been just all the classics, like Led Zeppelin, the Stones, and everything, Iggy and the Stooges, and blah, blah, blah. So it was, it was a melting pot of all that. But the one thing that really hooked me was, I think when I was 11, I first heard the George Harrison track, Within You, Without You, on Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah.
And that was the moment that my little mind totally clicked onto the exotic nature of music, like music from India and music from the Middle East and whatnot. So as I matured as a songwriter, progressed as a songwriter, those influences became more and more parts of what I wanted to do within the parameters of rock music.
How old were you when you started exploring that territory?
I would say I would have been, to do it properly, I was probably around 18 years old when I started exploring that.
Yeah, cool. And not long after that, I think Splendor Solace came out. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I wrote Splendor Solace when I was 20. So, yeah, and then it probably came out when we were around 21, 22 years old. So, yeah.
What drives you as an artist? Or should I say, what really moves you to be an artist?
Passion.
Yeah.
My passion for life, Sometimes the passions of my life get me into trouble. But more often than not, they absolutely just fuel the fire and inspire what is created.
So you're an explorer, really.
Very much so. Yeah.
What's your favorite album of all time, Jeff?
Of all time.
Do you have one?
Album of all time. There's so many because of the different genres of music that I listen to. I mean, for rock music, it would probably be Physical Graffiti, Led Zeppelin. For jazz, anything that Django Reinhardt ever did. For classical music, anything that Claude Debussy ever did, composed. Blues, I'm certainly predilected to the music of like Howlin' Wolf or Robert Johnson, Blind Willie Johnson, things like that. Yeah. So my musicality is all over the map.
So that's what makes it so diverse. There's definitely a lot of blues elements in there, mixed in with this rock and this Middle Eastern kind of thing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So, where is home these days for you?
Where's home these days now?
Yeah.
Well, it was in North Fremantle in WA, but now I'm just moving back over east, so it'll be just outside of Byron Bay.
Okay, and what's making you want to hang out in Byron?
Well, I've got a 3.5-year-old boy that lives over there that hasn't seen his daddy much, and also the home that's we've come to achieve to live in. It's quite a magical place. It's something that I've needed for quite some time. And just a real sort of retreat and someplace that I can put my studio and turn up the speakers to Kingdom Come and no one would be able to hear them. Yeah, that's how good. Isolated it is. So,
beautiful. That's great. Are you working on any solo projects at the moment?
What I'm working on is, I have a record label that's formed. It's called 93 Records. And 93 Records, towards the end of this year, early next year, we'll be putting out the collaboration that I did with Sarah McLeod from Super Jesus and Mick Skelton, who's currently the drummer in the Baby Animals. We have a band together called the Black Diamond Express that will be coming out at some point. And then also Mick and I, the two of us together, we have a new sort of hard rock blues-based outfit that we call Revelator, and that'll come out as well towards the end of the year, early next year. So there's a lot on my plates, and then there's a lot of production that I'm going to be doing out of the new house and the new studio and things like that. So,
cool.
Yeah, my dance card's certainly full.
Definitely. So I guess you'll be working on that stuff when the tour's over, right?
Yeah, I will be. I've got some clients to produce as well, and then there's a Tea Party tour in Canada in its summertime, so between June and August, and there's a 20th anniversary tour of The Edges of Twilight in September. So there's a lot going on. You know, there's rumors afloat that we might, the Tea Party might return here for the 20th anniversary tour of The Edges of Twilight sometime in early next year. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, cool. Jeff, do you ever take the family on the road with you?
No. It's not really a place for, in my opinion anyways, it's not a place for children, you know, like not at this age anyways. You know, 'cause there's just too many late nights and too much of the gypsy lifestyle and airports and all that and everything else. And it's just kind of, you know, it's hard. And, you know, there's school involved and things like that. So,
yeah, for sure. What keeps bringing you back to Tasmania?
The fact that you guys keep wanting me to come back.
Yeah, we love you. We definitely do. Cool.
No, it's great, you know, because like a lot of, you know, I guess even though I do live in Australia, I'm still considered an international artist because of the Tea Party and all that. So that being said, you know, a lot of international artists, for the strangest reason that I can't think of, you know, would not do Tasmania, you know. And it's just it's such a vibrant scene for music, and there's such a lust for it. You know that I mean, you know, every time that I play, like for instance, the Republic and Hobart, you can't put more people in there. You know, and it's just wonderful. So
yeah, it's true, and it's intimate as well. So you get to meet people properly, which is always nice. Yeah, for sure. So you've got a show here on Friday night at the Republic Bar. Cool. Should be a good one.
It'll be a blowout. It'll be great.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you at the show. I think that about wraps it up. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.